So it's crazy because how it all started with that Larry mural was Andrew approached me to put Larry on there because of the painting that I did with the march and Overfelt. And what was it? It was in Fairgrounds, right? Or before that?
No, it was the we did this show for honoring the cannery workers. That's where we
that's where we originally talked about it, and then I put out the Pinoy Town one with the painting instead of the Larry one, and then we've been planning that. That's been like over a year.
Yeah,
we've been planning. And even though when me and Jordan were painting Pinoy Town in 6 Jackson Street, I put him on board, and Jordan's like, huh? And I was like, Jordan, you want to get on it? I don't know how. Like, what do you mean? You don't remember?
No, what do you mean? Who?
No, because you were like, huh? I was like, yeah, you want to get on a mural? It's like, yeah. And he got excited.
I mean, because I never heard of Pinoy Town before, so I was excited to.
Well, and also, like, you did the piece of Larry, too.
Yeah.
You and Jeff.
Jeff can tell, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the original one before Mel came on board. It was Jeff. And, it was a blessing in disguise, like, yeah, Jeff had to step down, and then you came in, and then your style was, was pretty sick.
How did you come into, like, thinking about Mel after that?
Well, actually, it was Jordan.
Okay,
yeah,
Jordan.
so we were paying, Pinoy Town, we were mad at everybody. I was mad at everybody, not Jordan. But I was mad at everybody. But Jordan's like, Jeff called me and said he can't do it. And I was like, well, who are we going to get? He was like, Mel. I was like, Mel? He's like, yeah. And I was like, hi. Oh yeah, we were signing the wall too. He's like, I was like, it's me. and then we went to J-Town Pizza and drank, and then I brought aboard Miguel.
Which was interesting because when you asked me, I was kind of like, well, thanks, because I hadn't done murals in a long time. Yeah. And so she asked me, and I was kind of like, you know what, like, you've been helping so much, you've been like, there for so many times, like, all right, let's do it, and I'll be down to, like, help out. And then I met these two right here, and it was just like amazing because it was like off the bat. It was great. It was a good. It was great, and that was kind of like my pivot point to kind of like go back into like murals and stuff, like trying to work with murals. So it was a good relearning experience. Watching Mel like just on her element, and then Jordan kind of like get down in his area of work, and seeing Anna kind of like I'm sure she doesn't like being like the head of things, but like she was very good about directing and then letting us know where to go, and here you go and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely was. I think when we did our first meeting here, we got to see all of our own styles here.
Yeah.
And then we saw Mel's style, we saw Jordan's, and then we saw it with your own shadows and all that.
Like the ideas and stuff. Yeah.
And popped out, and then came to the damn wall. That damn wall is a curse and a blessing at the same time. I think like you and I, we had like so many like trees cutting down, and then the gas station people.
All that.
Some of the lighting was wrong.
Getting screamed at.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah. Apparently there were 2 homeless people that climbed all the way to the top of like the boom lift and then
fighting on the basket.
And then stopped and then climbed back down.
Politely, because it was still there.
Unnoticed, but we got a lot of heat.
Yeah.
We got a lot of heat for it.
Remember that one time we were up there, we were barely gonna start like working on the wall, and then we saw somebody come in, and we kind of saw her like about to complain, and we're like thinking, I hope this is not her first Karen. I hope this is not her first Karen. and all of a sudden we're like, she's all, excuse me, and then we both looked down. We're like, yes. She's all, I love this mural. We're like, oh, thanks.
Learning lesson number 1.
Yes.
Don't just let them go. Just let them.
Yeah. It was
because we were getting a lot of heat.
Yeah, we were getting a lot of heat, but it was like it set off the morning like way better because we were like, all right, cool. Sure. That was a positive thing. Let's have some fun. Yeah. And we were just up there. You became the professional handler of the of the lift.
Oh man, this guy was
Don't know why.
yeah.
Because of this guy.
Because this guy right here.
Yeah.
And then you know
Yeah.
what, like when Renee, you know, my boyfriend, like when he came into the pit, you know, we were trying to figure out this dang lift. He FaceTimed Eddie, and I hear I'm like, "You're talking to Eddie, huh?" You know, yeah. You know, he's like, "Just do this," and then Eddie's like, "Forget it." And he drops everything, and then he comes and then started teaching Jordan. And then he started helping out with like buffing the wall and then teaching us, you know, the condition of the walls, and teaching us to lift and teaching us about clear coat. Because let me tell you something, doing a mural on an old building, and I learned this too, is no joke. Like, I think me and Jordan and Mel, I think we all said it.
Well,
like,
we
we're never doing
definitely
this again.
underestimated that wall.
We
'Cause
did.
We were like, yeah, we'll go knock it out, and we'll do this, we'll do that, and we'll put the hills here, we'll put there, and we're like, as soon as we came down to it, the wall started chipping off. Like, you try to brush and it just chipping off, and man, that's when Eddie came in. He was like, okay, let me know what to do. Okay, here we go. And then he just like went to town, and we were like, what the hell? This guy is just like. Hell helped us out. Like, it was amazing, man. So, hell yeah.
Yeah,
dude.
man. It was a treat helping out, man. You know, it's just the surface of the wall.
Yeah.
You couldn't brush it, roll it, because it would just disintegrate.
Yeah.
You know, after time of experience of being a painter, it just... my nature
But your
came.
speed, man, that was impressive, dude. Because we were like,
that was
holy
amazing.
crap.
If we did it by ourselves, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's-
yeah. I mean, it's especially with a little help of you know,
A little bit of
friend
tequila.
right there.
Yeah, it always helps.
Yeah, but that was great.
It was
fun.
challenging, but it was fun at the same time.
Yeah, it was fun.
I think what makes the mural or the entire project like so amazing is how it started and then how it ended.
Yeah.
Because like when I think about it, you're right, it was the Cannery Show. It was 2000, it was April 2023. We did a show for honoring the cannery.
Right.
And Anna brought it up. She was like, hey, I have this idea. And I was like, that sounds amazing, right? I had no idea what wall, timing, artist, nothing. But it was your ambition or your thought to say, hey, I want to do something. Because I remember you said, I want to do something for the community. And I was like, okay, this is tight. But then you kind of see it take place and transform when you had the meeting in Pinoy Town. And then when you're like, hey, I have an artist, Jordan. Keep in mind, I didn't know anybody besides Machuga and Anna. And so it was like watching it from the back and seeing how it came together, to me is like amazing, right? Because of the friendship that came about, but not knowing the styles or the techniques. And it was just, it's dope. It's super dope. So anyhow, I can't like thank you enough, number one, for even having the foresight to say, hey, this is something I want to do, and then like the inner strength to be like, hey, how can I make this happen? Because I think a lot of times people have great ideas, but then they just kind of fall by the wayside. But it was you, and I love championing people that deserve it, and all you guys deserve it. But you were like, all right, I remember you were like, I'm gonna figure this out. I don't know who or what or how, and you did. So congratulations to you and all you guys. But I mean, yeah. Anyhow, I don't mean to like jump in.
No, you should.
No,
You should
I mean,
jump in.
you're in the middle.
That was crazy
You gotta
because when
jump in.
that happened, that was before Dolores went up, huh?
Yes.
That was before Dolores went up.
And that's right.
When
And
Juan
so
painted Dolores was for the Latino
the Cinco show we had.
Cinco show they had, and Juan painted Dolores. And to be honest, you know, when we had the Larry thing, we didn't know where we were gonna put it because I had him and I had a few other curators and artists wanted that Larry mural because nobody knew where to put Larry in there, even San Jose State. And they wanted Larry Itliong mural, and then
So I don't mean to interrupt, but so then let's. Why did we choose Larry then? So then let's go into that because a lot of people were asking for César, you know, Chávez to be up. So then, why was Larry up there? Why did we choose to do Larry then?
Well, we'll even fast forward to it because I think it all kind of falls into place, right? And that's like what makes it this magical thing is going back to April, following month, we had a show called the Cinco Show, which was at our gallery. And a lot of the artists had the opportunity to put up murals around the area. One particular artist that we hosted came in from Texas. He's an international artist, amazing. And so when Juan approached me before he arrived. He said, I thought about doing César Chávez. I know he had grounds in San Jose, but I want to honor somebody else, and I want to honor Delores Huerta. I studied her, she's very dear to me, and I want to do a portrait of her. Well, it just so happened on that side of the wall, there was no trees. And so I talked to the building owner, we talked to the property owner, and we got approval. And they were like, you can do it, but you only have so many days. And he was like, don't worry, I can get it done in 3 days. And so it rained, and we got the wrong lift. There was a million things that happened, but he ended up accomplishing it, and Delores went up. And so that kind of was the beginning of this mural project. And then it transformed into finding a wall, remember? From that point, it was like, how do we find a wall? And your idea, back to Larry, was like, how did you decide, you personally, like what made you say, hey, this is the mural I want to do?
Well, what's crazy is like it happened in 2021 with Viva la Calle. I was having a conversation with Francisco, and Francisco came up to me and he was like, hey, you should be the one to put up Larry. I was like, why me? He's like, well, because I tried to approach it, he got turned down. And
Francisco who? Francisco Ramirez?
Yeah, Francisco Ramirez.
Okay.
He's like, well, you studied Larry, and his background. We both felt and we both agreed that Larry was so underground that not a lot of people knew that the Delano grape strike didn't happen because of, it wouldn't happen because of him. I mean, Larry was the one, and along with Philip de la Cruz and Delores, pushed César Chávez to move forward. A great leader, but is there, but a great leader cannot do it individually. They need a whole team. Right. And I felt like that team of UFW and, that organization was never mentioned in the books. So sometimes, with pictures, curiosity, when you look at a picture, it makes you want to learn. So when they see a picture of Larry Itliong, they're like, who is this guy? And that was a challenge, I was like, okay, so after I had that conversation with Francisco, I started painting the march. And then the march has César Chávez along with his, family, and then Larry Itliong was in there. And then below, I had the Overfelt March, which when they did the walkout in 1973 over gang violence, because the gangs, were really bad. How that, was inspiration to walk out and do, march, whatever you do. And then that painting that I did is all the way in Texas. The girl who is in that march, she has the original painting.
Oh wow. Nice.
Yeah, who is in the Overfelt March. Her name is Mary, and it was a crazy story. She, went through a lot, and lost her family through gang violence at East Side San Jose. And I was like, well, you know what? It's like, here's a painting, and then she was very happy to have it. So she has it. But that painting itself became a hit. That everybody's like, we need this, on the wall. We need this in the East Side walls. You even had, people from the West Side were like, we need this on the West Side. They're, like, where are we going to put it? So, it was a lot of, conversation where we're going to put this actual painting. That's where, I went to him. I was like, well, I have a lot of people who want this painting on the wall, but then, I'm willing to work with you. And then we fast forward to, when we were doing Pinoy Town. And then he goes, and then we walked around. He's like, well, would you put Larry on there? And I said, if I'm going to do it that way, put Larry there, I'm going to do the whole thing and make a whole picture. And me and Jordan and Jeff came into, started planning the hills. There's a hidden message in those hills. That's actually the Tully Hills of San Jose. Nice. And then that's to represent San Jose. And then I said, we need a picture of César Chávez that nobody has ever seen. And we had to put Philip de la Cruz, of course. And then so it just came into play. And then, we were like, the hills have to tell a story. They need to put farm workers or something in grades. And of course we had Andrew input in it. And then the middle was going to be Delores when she was young. And then Larry when César when they were young, and Philip. And so that's why, that's how it came to play.
Interesting, because when you asked me if I wanted to participate, and I said yes, I knew a certain side of the story, which was César Chávez, because he's always celebrated in different places, and I didn't know too much about Larry. like I've realized that not a lot of people know about Larry as well, like that story. So when you started sending me like, you know, articles and stories about him, I started learning about him, and I was kind of like, holy cow, like this is really important. Like we need to have him up there, you know what I mean? Because it's gonna be able to set a ripple into like a lot of different people that don't know that side of the story as well, and it's gonna give him a place in history that he deserves, you know what I mean? Because it's important. And the cool part is that, like, when we got together, it was you, and I myself, and it's kind of cool because we're almost, like, in a way, kind of taking, I don't want to take credit for all their work. I'm just saying, like, we're an extension of, like, of their movement in a way, because we are painting them, right? But then, like, setting this whole scene up and kind of continuing, like, their legacy in their own like vision, you know what I'm saying? And it was kind of cool because you guys are Filipino, I'm Mexican, you know, you're part Mexican, and it's like it's kind of cool. And then we had that realization, and we're like, oh, great, that's crazy. There's 4 of them. Hey, there's 4 of us. Like, holy cow, this is awesome. But it was an honor to be able to participate on it because I didn't know that story. I didn't know how deep it went to it. And now that I know, it's like anybody that would come up and kind of be interested in the mural, like we would be able to tell them the story, you know, and then educate people, you know what I mean? And then it just kind of sets another ripple. So that was amazing. That was the amazing part for me. It was eye-opening, you know what I mean?
It's pretty crazy that you're talking about that because, like, yeah, I'm Mexican, but me being Filipino, you know, like full transparency, like I was learning about it too as we were going about it because Jordan and Jeff painted that canvas a while ago, right? And I was like, who's that? He's Larry Itliong. Larry Itliong. And he was the one that kind of like gave me a little split of that. I was like, oh, that's dope, you know? But until like this project was presented, that's when I was like, oh shoot, this is really dope. You dive into it, right? So full transparency, like it got me to learn more about my culture, right? More about it. And I feel like that's the connection, right? That's right with you and then with us. And then I don't know, even a handful of like Filipinos hit me up and they're like, who are you guys painting? Who is it for? Like, it's us, Ilocanos, right? And they're like, damn, that's dope. Let me go into it. So I love the fact that it reaches like multiple, like even Filipinos. Like we're like, it's crazy that it takes this to learn it, right? It's me being a part of the project to learn it. And then, but I'm Filipino and I haven't even heard the story myself, you know?
And it's kind of crazy too in that one because it's like, it shows like the positive side of like how you learn, right? By participating on it. But then it also kind of shows like a little dark side of it, like the lack of information that should be out there that it's not. And for someone like you that you say you're full, you know, Filipino and full transparency, like, damn, I'm learning as I go along too about this person, as I'm learning as I go along about César Chávez as well, you know what I mean? Like, and Larry. So it's like it's really crazy, and I feel like the whole mural situation was like educational for us, and at the same time like an awareness of like, damn, like information does get suppressed a lot, you know what I mean? And it's up to like people like us or like you or like you or like you to like put hands on and make it work as a community, right? Right. And so, I mean, a community comes together, we put up a mural, and celebrate it, and then it just spreads education, knowledge, and, you know, inspiration for the rest of the community.
Yeah. Each one teach one, man. It's not about reaching the masses. It's really the way it trickled to us, one by one, right? And then that's how the message spreads. We might not get it to all of San Jose. We might not even get it to like City Hall. But if it gets one by one by one, right? And then one by one, like that is more impactful, right? I feel. Mm-hmm. So this is, if anything, what the mural taught me was exactly that. Like, and that's what I hope that the mural will do for others, to just like go up there and like question and be like, who's that? You know? And then we're like, oh shoot, a connection to Filipino. Oh, what? César Chávez? Like everything that it's done for us right now. That's the only thing that I hope that this mural can do for others.
The amount of people that were showing up every day asking
Yeah.
when I was in the lift, hey, what is that? What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
You know, can I take a picture?
Yeah.
It was just all about that. You know, it's like, hey, it's Filipino, Mexican. It's, you know, we're all the same.
I kind of like to think like the wall as like the challenges that like, well, not to like compare it, you know what I'm saying, but like a little snippet of like that wall was the challenges and tribulations that some of them went through, you know, as they were going along with their organization. You know what I mean? We were like, damn, how are we gonna get this up there? Oh, the wall's disintegrating. All right, let's just work together. Let's see what we can do. Blah blah blah.
The community doesn't like it, aka the Chevron gas station. The people in the apartments across the street.
Complain about the
What is that beeping sound for? Yeah, all of that. All of it.
We're gonna be done in one day.
Yeah. Are we done yet? I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think what you guys are bringing up is like, it's so important is because like there's this beauty that's happening, right? And then there's this other side of negativity that you're just getting bombarded with, where you can't park there, and there's complaints about this.
Are you done
complaints about
yet?
that. Yeah, are you done? It should be only a one-day project. You know, funds, you know, one thing, and we'll talk about that later, but it's like, you know, you have all these other things, all these other mountains that you guys are just climbing as you're going through. But through it all, it was pretty amazing to watch, because every time I showed up, you guys were happy. Yeah, frustrated at times, you know, but it wasn't with the project. It was with like, oh my gosh, this wall's terrible, right? It's falling apart. But, you know, watching you guys like were like literally, like you said, the inspiration that was coming out, you could see it in the artwork and you could feel it. It was like tangible, you know, the best way to describe for myself. Like I was addicted to go to the wall, of course, to see the transformation. But I tell you something that, for me, I went to that wall every day because you guys touched me. And so a lot of times when you're doing projects like this, it's not, no, and this is real talk, it's not a matter of the beauty that you're seeing and it transform. Yeah, that's a part of it. But you start to see growth in people. And that, to me, is what it's all about. So, you know, seeing Jordan climb up or build that scaffold, and I know how terrible that was.
Right.
Tearing it down every day.
But you were like nothing.
Mel,
I thought we were gonna die.
Right, getting there, like all that, you know, and I really enjoyed working with you guys, even though I didn't put in the labor. You know, I was emotionally attached to it, like you guys, in so many ways. But you guys are awesome. You know.
Hey, shout out to Juan too, because I know he pulled through. Like he did the Dolores and then the Larry Itliong, but that guy came through when he was sick.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and like he knocked that thing out, and like dude,
How long did it take him? Like,
dude,
So what? Yeah, me and him had a lot of conversations about not only about the Larry, about Dolores, because there was his flight before with Dolores. Like it was his. So even to the Dolores, we were talking about when he came back the second time, but the first time he came here, there was issues with him getting here. There was the weather issue, and this is Juan Velasquez, and he's from Texas.
Shout out to Juan Velasquez.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
And when he showed up here to do the Dolores, like I said, the lift was ordered wrong, which that was my fault. And then, they ran out of paint. So he was literally picking colors like the best he could do. There were so many things. And so he was like, this was pretty tough, but who knows when I'll come back. And then when he came back the second time, he had the flu. He was getting over the flu. His flight got messed up. And so I picked him up from the airport, and he was like, every time I come here, there's like something, you know? And I was like, well, you
Welcome
have a couple
to
of
San Jose.
days. And he's like, no, I got to be done in like 48 hours. So his challenges, you know, not only the first time, but the second time, it's like everyone was going through something in this particular project, you know, but they didn't let it cloud their inspiration or the excitement about it, because he was excited to do it and be a part of it, you know, and we've talked a lot about it and how much it means to him, about the two communities, about him being a part of the team. You know, for him, he's distant, he's remote, he's in the middle of the country, and so it's hard to build a camaraderie. But he's emotionally attached like everybody else because that's his art. And those, just like we were talking about, he started to read on Larry and really try to understand who he was as a person so he can come out in the artwork. And so, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, everyone was learning through this project.
Big time.
I was learning who Philip was. I read the book while we were doing all this, and I was having a conversation with Jordan. I was like, dude, this guy was literally the mediator, and he was vice president of UFW. He's like big. I'm surprised nobody really talked about Philip Cruz as much as they do with Larry and, you know, and Delores. And he was like César Chávez's right-hand man. And that's why, you know, at the very last minute, I switched the pictures and had a real picture of César Chávez and Larry Itliong coming out of the Guadalupe church over here. Well, they were fasting hand in hand and arm in arm, just because, you know, they're both weak and they both went into fasting and just helping each other up. Yeah. And by the way, he's the one that picked a portrait of Larry.
Good choice.
Nice. That was a great choice.
That was a good one. Yeah. And we had so much controversy because of his cigar. But we wanted a cigar.
It was going back and forth.
It was going back and forth.
See, that's the crazy, right? About trying to represent like a struggle that happened before about a certain idea, right? Like we took on this project and then we kind of got like some backlash and some, you know, I don't want to say negativity, just for lack of a better word, questions, you know, about why are we putting up this person. And it's crazy because and I like to think about it like people were just concerned, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to say like people were being mean, it's just they were just concerned about what's going on, who's this, you know, the lack of information. So I can only imagine the amount of like things they went through from the little part that we kind of got, you know, from certain people, like of what they went through. And it is a great picture because it kind of looks like how we looked when we were like lack of sleep and tired, and you know the thing was moving like this, all crazy, and I was trying not to fall. Like, I mean, it's not even a comparison, but like it was just it's a learning experience, and it's great because it did build community within us, a camaraderie between us, and you know it's cool, you know what I mean? Like those are the projects that I feel like are meaningful and will be meaningful for so many years, you know what I mean?
I only hope that is because what I feel like for this to happen, and it's beyond the story of Larry Itliong and what happened, it's more so to dive into everyone's culture, right? It's that to challenge like whoever culture to learn about it a little bit more, to learn about whatever a little bit more, right?
I think for me too, like because I think of like murals that have been done like in the 90s, you know, about like San Jose and stuff like that, like, you know, old school like artists and stuff and muralists, and growing up in San Jose, like, and being an artist, it's like, man, I want to have my hands on a mural that's like, that represents something in the community, you know, and then seeing these murals that, you know, old, you know what I mean, and knowing the people that like had hands on it, like they're still around and they kind of like feel proud about it, and then having our hands on this mural, right, like the Huelga flag, right, like that represented a lot of emotional energy with a lot of people that I know now here in San Jose, and they feel super passionate about it, and you just have to kind of respect that energy, because it's not just like, it's important. It's like it's experience. It's part of their life, and so something like that. It's a great symbol. So it's like, say like 20 years from now, that wall's still there, and I don't know, I'm walking with my, I don't know, son or something. You know what I mean? Looking at that wall and be like, that mural represents two different communities, a struggle and some and triumph, and like I had part of that, a little bit of like being able to be joined with a few artists that painted that wall, and it's appreciated for the whole community, and it represents something like that's bigger than yourself. You know what I mean?
Like, I've had conversations about with our elders, and they said, you know, you guys, that's a mural, but this is a civil rights statement. And when I first heard that, I didn't really, I understood it, but you kind of, I sit with it and reflect, and I started to understand, and it's true. And to that question, or to answer that question, this is about educating. And so what are we doing to pick up where our ancestors, or where they left off? And I would say being active, number one, right? Because they were super active. Educating, that's what we're doing. And standing against the odds. Because this could have just been a conversation, but then it became reality. And that is very hard to do, And so with everybody, with you finding the right picture, with your amazing design, which I'm still blown away by your grapes, right? It's just amazing. Like when I see these things and when in your creations, I'm like, this is epic, because it meant so much. But yeah, I mean, I think we're doing exactly what they would want us to do. I think it's just, and it's beautiful when it actually comes all together.
We all come from working backgrounds. Them being tattoo artists, and then Miguel, working with kids, him owning his business, me working with patients, and then now with City Hall. If you think about it, like these people that we just painted on the wall, they're the reasons why we have labor laws. Exactly. And why he's able to have his own business as a Mexican American, being able to work freelance as tattoo artists, as Filipino artists, It's the same thing with both you and I as artists, of color, of Mexican, Filipino. It's to paint them, how much they opened the gates for us. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now as our regular jobs.
What's next?
Chapter 2.
What's chapter 2? What do you envision?
It's all him.
It's all him,
It's like this is step 1. Our goal is to make another wall. Chapter 2 of the wall, a different portrait, something different to keep this portrait going, not just only on 4th Street, but try to get in a different wall from San Jose with a different character, but in the same style. Just different chapters, different.
Yeah, I really think that this started a new book, right? Mm-hmm. This is chapter 1. And whether it's with the same artist, there's more artists, but it's like the chapter 2, when it gets written, it's going to be with the people that learned from this group, right? That laid the foundation. And so without them, there wouldn't be chapter 2 and chapter 3 of these stories that are going to get told. And so, yeah, I think you guys laid the foundation for the next stages of what we hope that we see in this community, really.
One wall at a time. One wall at a time.
Any closing remarks, Jordan, or no?
I really was excited about this mural because my dad was a farmer coming from the Philippines. He always told me his life was always hard growing up. He was always in the mud, planting rice, planting crops, whatever they would eat in the Philippines. And he came to the U.S. as an immigrant, and he also planted here in Lodi, near Stockton, as a farmer. And I wanted to, and then painting Larry Itliong, or like all of this, like was really, I thought it was really important for this for me. Yeah.
Just speaking on like Jordan, it's crazy because he's like the most quietest one here, but this guy has like the most passion behind this story, like connectivity behind this story. And it's like going back to like when you can't explain, like, or it's very hard to like express, right? Mm-hmm. Like how much like you are proud about it, or you just want to tell it, like, and how like hands in you were on for like this project. Like Jordan is the one, like he was the one that taught me, probably taught a lot of us, right? Like about this story, but it's so contained. It's very hard for you to express it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember you explaining that, telling me that too about your dad. So, And I know this was important for you too, because all you wanted to do was put a platform out there for us, for like Filipinos, you know.
Yeah.
Good job, Jordan.
Good job.
Good job,
man.
Jordan.
Good job.
You guys have
Tissue.
anything modeling? Do you guys do anything to?
Yeah, we
Take a
did.
shot.
Take shots.
Take a shot.
Take a shot.
Also, you want to get a shot with him?
Something you gotta put.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And to the Chevron gas station.
Oh,
I swear to you, I'm not buying anything.
You know, getting the mural done in that caliber in one day, it's impossible.
Cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
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 Was here.
It was a fun project. It was a fun project.
There's a lot of emotions involved, and then they brought us a lot closer.
But you know, like with this particular project, and there's a lot of them in our city, but one that I was connected to is in our community in San Jose. My family's been here for 80 years. I say that all the time. It's like my go-to, right? Because we believe it. But
That's amazing.
yeah, and it's like there's art and then there's culture. And I feel like a lot of our culture within the last 20, 25 years since I've lived here has kind of drifted, you know? And so I feel like this is a resurgent, you know, or revitalization of art and culture, because those two can coexist. And we've seen it, you know, in other cities. And I would love for us to see more of that within our city, you know, because it's great to see, you know, beautiful art, but there's so many stories and so much depth within our culture in San Jose that we could speak on, because there's a lot of history here that's been lost and and these stories haven't been told. And I feel like that is also the next step for all of us, you know. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's super important that we bring those together.
I mean, real quick, like for me, it's like, I came from Mexico, Oaxaca, Jalisco, and I came out, you know, to San Jose. So to learn these stories, right, and to like hear the struggles and, you know, learn about the labor laws and all that. Like my mom, you know, she used to clean every company, businesses, all that, and I used to go with her when I was younger too. But it just kind of shows, like, you know, how there's people out there that do that grind work, right? So then people like us can have the types of you know, rights and lives that we want, you know, in a way like you guys are doing it too, you know. And you know, I'm an artist, I do art and I work with kids, and you know, but it kind of like through their labor, through their hard work and their sacrifice, like we are able to do our own type of like work and our own story. But at the same time, like a mural like this and a movement like this just gives us the knowledge to be able to, like, you know, educate ourselves and really treasure that sacrifice, that real sacrifice that people have made in the past. Like, for example, like you and your family have, you know, done that work for a long, long time too. You know what I mean? So it's like we're all touched by it. You know what I mean? So it definitely is an honor to be able to participate in it, man, because I'm right smack in it as well. So it's thanks to them, like, you know, I mean, we're all hardworking people, and we're really striving to what we want. And it's not just we just want to do personally, but we also want to educate others about it. You know what I mean? And that's what I think is it's beautiful. So it's that's like my closing segment to this, like, whole part of it.
Just because the last question you asked was like, what's next? It's and yeah, this is beautiful that we do this mural stuff, but like, if it wasn't for Andrew or like One Culture or people like that, or even Anna that like tries to like, hey, I have this idea, because we're fighting too. We just can't just be like, hey, we have this idea, we have this story to tell, and we can just do that, right? It's our own fight to actually be able to do that, to be able to get that. And so, like, it took the behind scenes and everything. Like, we're not always allowed that. You know, we're not always allowed a wall or our way to express how we tell a story, which is obviously through paint, through art, right? A lot of people want formalities. I'll say it in a book. do it through a speech, right? But it does take a lot of work, and the real gravity of the situation is that we are also fighting our own city in the public, like city hall, whatever you might say, like anything that holds that I don't know, the power.
That power, yeah.
You know, so it's hard. At the same time, I wish we can do this through and throughout our city and paint the town and tell the story. But also, it does take a lot of work. And like, thank you guys for like allowing us to be a part of that. Like, to this one project that it took a year. How long? Maybe more, right?
And it's self-funded, right? Like, there's a lot of it self-funded. That's the
Entire project was paid for by the people sitting here, you know, and that speaks volumes, because you know what they put up was tens of thousands of dollars worth of work. But you know, they dedicated their time and invested into the community with their hardworking dollars, and all of us, you know, I think that's so important, because that, to me, like, that's what makes it even, like, you know, there's so many special parts, but then someone says, you know, well, how did they do it? And they said, well, it's trusting the artist in the community. You know, when I sit back and when we do projects, or when we talk about this, when Anna came, you know, the city has to really believe in the talent that's in the city. You know, I travel to other cities, and there's great artists, but we have great artists. We have a great community. We have great culture. But I feel like we just call it the powers that be. It would be great if they can broaden their horizons a little bit and give the artist more free round to create and speak upon these things, and you'll watch it organically grow.
That'd be so cheap either, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that's another thing is the artists are really struggling here in one of the most expensive cities to live in the world.
Period.
Exactly.
And so you have these creatives, passionate artists that just want to be able to make enough to live here and produce beautiful things for our city. So why can't we give them that?
Exactly.
You know, and so that's the challenge.
It just almost seems like it's an arm and a leg to like be able to have that opportunity. There's so many artists that are talented here, and I get it, you know, but you know, not everyone gets that chance to be able to I don't know, support themselves that way through their art. You know what I mean? And it's a hard issue to touch, because you know, I love this city. It gave me my foundation. I came from Mexico, but it gave me my foundation. I like to say that Mexico gave me my cultural roots, but San Jose in California gave me my foundation to really find myself. So my loyalty is it's my city. It's San Jose. It's the people. It's the community. And then to kind of like see like people with the privilege and the power and I'm gonna say it, like the money, you know what I mean? And they just kind of like they want your art, but they don't want to know about you, or they kind of like say, oh well, I want this art, I want your art, but we're not gonna pay you what you think you're worth. Like that's a hard thing to hear, you know what I mean? That's why I work hard every day to be able to like get my art to like top quality, because I want my art to speak for itself. But it's a hard challenge. But you know, I feel like we're from San Jose and we're warriors. We take it. We move forward. We'll keep on doing it until we die or whatever. But you know, having that chance would be amazing. You know, having that, having those people, I'd be like you said, Andrew. You know, believe in the artist and the community. Like we'll pull through. We're from San Jose. We'll pull through. You know what I mean? We got it. So, yeah. Sorry.
Somehow we're gonna show all this.
Yeah. All right.